How's it going, everyone? This is Zflex and welcome back to another A Producer's Approach video. In this video we're going to be looking at OBLYVN's song Shift. So if you guys haven't seen my videos in the past, I basically break down these videos in 3 different sections. I do an intro backstory section, then after that I do a breakdown analysis section, then after that I do an outro where I just sum up my opinions and thoughts. So this is OBLYVN's song Shift. It's a glitch hop song off her Dream Theory EP that recently came out, and for me personally, I've been having this song and the whole EP pretty much on repeat. To me, it's a really good EP. It's one of the best EPs I've heard on Monstercat in quite a while. There aren't many EPs that are super cohesive and catch my attention that often, but this EP, like, it caught my attention quite fast because they released every single song. And you know, I thought Enter Rem was my favorite song from this EP or album, because that's the song I voted for on the Best of Monstercat 2021 list. But I think after listening to this whole album EP, I think Shift is probably my favorite song. Enter Rem's good, Planet Eternium's good too, but Shift, I don't know, it's just so fun, good, and reminds me of old glitch hop. And there's just this one part of the song which is really catchy. I always keep listening to it. So I don't know, OBLYVN's one of those artists that's just relatively new to Monstercat, but you know, since her arrival on Monstercat, I've been kind of blown away by her independent releases and Monstercat releases. So can't wait to see more music from her, but we'll dive into Shift right now, and you guys will kind of see why the song is so good. So let's get going. Alright, so kind of the beginning sound, there was like the synth playing in the beginning, and then after that there's a kind of pad sound that kind of comes in as well, and then there's also kind of a high-end sound that eventually comes in a little bit later. The pad sound is really good in the beginning, kind of that synth sound, because it kind of just sets up the scene, then the pad kind of makes it a lot fuller. And then the high-pitched kind of sound kind of also comes in, and almost like that synth sound in the beginning, just the way it kind of comes in is really cool too. I don't know if it has to do with the initial presets within the synth itself, or if she structured it to where like the song kind of started quiet, and then when you play the note, there's like a lot of sustain or delay or something, so it kind of delays and doesn't start initially right when you hit the note. But I just kind of like that introduction, and then you kind of hear the chiming pluck sound before the glitch hop kind of starts. So let's keep going. Alright, so that was kind of like the first drop. Really like that robotic kind of sounding, almost bass sound. I like how it was filtered, and then it kind of comes in, and then that kind of plays as like the main sound, and then you kind of hear the vocal chops kind of in the background. And I love it when that vocal kind of comes in saying, I can hear you falling, and or something like that, and then it transitions straight into that lead playing along with that kind of robotic sound. Glitch Hop has the more kind of halftime rhythm, so it's like kick snare, so kick on one snare, kind of like on three. And usually the BPM for Glitch Hop is around 110, so I'm assuming the song is in 110, but I just like how melodic it is, and like there's vocal chops already, and you notice how these vocal chops are a little bit different than Solaro's. And just kind of the Daft Punky kind of robotic sound you kind of hear on the bottom, and just how kind of glitchy it already is, and how much energy there already is to the song. So it's really good. We'll keep going, because I think that was like the first part of the drop, and then or the first drop, and I think this song is sectioned a little bit differently than some other songs. So let's keep going. All right, so in that part, it's really good. So the part starts off with kind of like a more 8-bit-ish almost type sound, kind of playing the percussion, and then you kind of hear the synth sound with the kind of like a synth pad almost playing, and then you kind of hear the vocal kind of come in again, where it says, I can hear you, or I can see you falling. I think that's what it says. And then that vocal also kind of glitches, and it vocal chops a little bit, and then the lead kind of comes in, and then the percussion comes in as that lead's playing, but the lead isn't as loud. It sounds like there's some volume automation or a little bit of filtering on it, so it's not super loud. And then the percussion kind of plays, and then this is the build up to probably my favorite part of the song, but you kind of hear an arp in the background, kind of like a kind of a glitchy arp, kind of in the before the kind of this drop kind of happens, or this part kind of happens, kind of the introduce the sound before you hear the sound. So this part in itself is probably my favorite part for about 30 seconds, so you guys will see why I like this part so much. All right, so that part is my favorite part. The arps just sound so good. It sounds almost like a water arp. I don't know. It sounds almost like water. It's moving so fast. It's really good. And then the pacing of the percussion is really good. And the vocal chops, of course, are really good in that section. But it's the vocal chops kind of paired with the arp. And that arp, to me, is so unique. I've never heard an arp quite like that in a song, where it kind of, to me, it sounds kind of like water, like there's this synth I use when I make music, and one of the synth presets is called arp water, and it sounds kind of like that synth, and like I've never heard it used in any other song, so that's the first time I've heard a synth almost sound common like that arp water synth, which is really cool. And then I like how, you know, the vocal chop and that synth are going with the percussion, and then after that the synth kind of, the main lead synth kind of comes in, again filtered and lowered in volume, playing kind of just playing kind of in the background, not really being in the foreground as much as that arp, but it's just really cool, that section with the pairing of the vocal chop, that arp, and then the main lead kind of coming in later, and just the pacing and the feel of that percussion beat. I don't know if, yeah, I think it's still like a halftime kind of beat, but it just feels a little bit faster. I'm not exactly sure why, but really good. And then now it transitions into a more kind of robotic sound leading into the second drop, as I guess you would say. So let's keep going. Alright, so we'll back up a little bit into that second drop. So it's really cool, the build up. You kind of hear the kind of ARP playing, and then it kind of transitions. There's not like a more traditional build up with like a ton of percussion. You kind of hear that kind of robotic song, kind of ARP, and then it kind of fades out with the kick. I didn't hear any other sound effects, at least with that, at least not a white noise one from what I could tell, but it's really cool within that drop. It almost sounds like an off drop where like it's the drop is delayed, but also it's really cool how within this drop it's more like a future bass kind of melodic dubstep type drop where there's a lot of saw waves, but the drop itself isn't like playing the chord progression at each time. There's kind of like breaths of air almost like within each section, so it kind of one note plays, then there's like a gap of space, and then the other note plays, and then like the lead eventually kind of comes in to kind of answer that, where I don't know, it's really cool. It kind of makes the section feel a lot more kind of euphoric and heavy feeling, and the lead isn't playing like all the time as well. It's kind of like filling in some of the gaps within this section until the very end where the lead kind of plays and then outros out there. But it's just like that second drop, you kind of feel the kind of drop and the spacing between each notes and stuff like that, and the use of the lead coming in. So it's just like a very unique drop where, you know, the first drop was more like a glitch hop drop, and then that break section you kind of have that ARP section, and then you have this kind of like more melodic saw wave, melodic dubstep, almost future bass type drop where the sub and the chord progression kind of dip out, and like, you know, the they come in every once in a while. It's not like a straight chord playing. So overall, this is OBLYVN song Shift. This personally, I think I would say now is my favorite song off the Dream Theory EP or album, and for a really good reason. The structure is really unique. The sound design's insane. There's so many different like 8-bit robotic different sounds. The different drops, the variation within the whole song is really good. Like from the beginning to the end, like feel like the whole song just like variates or just changes like 4 or 5 times. So it's like almost unrecognizable of a song from the beginning to the end in that sense. But that part at 2 minutes with that ARP with the vocal chop, I would say that is probably my favorite part of the song. Like I can literally listen to that 30-second loop, and I kind of have been for at least the past few days, listening to that 30-second loop. Like after I started at 2 minutes, let it play to 30 seconds, and then just click back at 2 minutes. I just listened to that 30-second loop, trying to just go back and forth. I don't know, it's just so good. It's so catchy. I could have been the whole song, and I could have listened to it and just been happy. So overall, I hope you guys like this video. This is OBLYVN song Shift, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And you know, like, comment, subscribe, and other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video and check out OBLYVN song Shift. Have a good one. Peace.